This is part 2 of the first painting in my nostalgia series. So I'm starting a series of 5 or 7 paintings where I want to capture that feeling of nostalgia. I feel like a lot of people look to nostalgia as a peaceful little escape. So I thought I'd try and capture that. So this first painting is more of a personal kind of memory of nostalgia and things that I found nostalgic, like this little ghost. I loved Halloween as a kid, so things like that. I'm adding a nice little house. I had a cool solar system in my room, so stuff like that reminds me of those times in childhood. And as you can see, I'm just filling in more colors here. I'm almost at around half. Sometimes it's hard to tell because I add a lot of details after the initial colors are in. Just doing a little more layering with that orange on top of the red, and then adding some more shapes here to fill the space. I like to do a good balance of planned out doodles and also ones that are not planned but fit the theme. That's something I've been working on in my recent paintings, is when I'm doing those second little doodles that aren't planned, not just doing them randomly, but ones that still contribute to the theme of the painting. So I'm just going in and doing some of that. I've done a train in one of my recent ones and I liked the smoke or steam coming out of it. So I'm doing 2 of those, and then I'll be adding different colors in them and leaving some white space. And I'm doing this little roller coaster that goes across a few different sections. Thought it'd be kind of cool. Bit of nostalgia going to amusement parks as a kid and doing that. So I'm just having the lines for it and having it cut across a few places. And it also works because it acts like a bit of a mouth for this fun, abstract face. So I'm filling in a few of these planets. I want to be careful which ones I do, just so the colors don't clash with ones close to them. I'm going to do a bit of color layering in those as well. Then I had a cool idea for doing some trees in this section, and one will be like a little upside down area. But for this area, I'm doing a little blockbuster. And I'm not going to write any words on it, but I'm going to have the color scheme of a blockbuster because that's a very good memory I have as a kid, going Friday nights and picking out your movies for the weekend. I really hope that Blockbuster comes back, or some type of movie rental comes back and brings that experience. I think it could have a good comeback like records did. I'm hoping that happens. I think it's a great memory that a lot of people who were kids in the early 2000s and 1990s had. So anyways, I'm going through and doing a bit more of this light blue. I really like how it pops, and you can do it close to this dark blue, and I find it doesn't clash too much as long as you have a color in between. Sometimes you don't even need to do that. And I wanted to do this like little circus style theater with curtains. I don't know what I'm going to put in it yet. Then I'm adding like a little eye here, and I'm going to do a cool little abstract face with this amusement park. And going in and carefully picking colors for this area. There's quite a few that intersect, so I want to be thoughtful with the colors that I choose, just so it doesn't look funny. I'm going through doing this red. I like using this red. It's a nice color. Burgundy is a good base too, but I think for this theme, it looks like a little more of a bright painting, so I want to keep it brighter, and I'll use burgundy as fill-in spots and maybe a bit of shading and textures, kind of adding that as I mix some colors in. But for now, just putting that in. The red I usually do a few coats of. I'll do 2 or 3 just to make sure it goes in and you can't see any of the canvas. And I'm just adding this little area with that gold brown and doing the curtains in there as well. I find it looks good with the red and burgundy, so it's a good color to have in between. I was going back and forth with the color that I want for the lightning, but I thought it'd be cool to go black. I might do some little white dots in it, I'm not too sure. And then now I'm just adding more to this roller coaster and adding some lines down just to ground it. Then I thought it'd be cool to do a checkerboard in this ice cream cone. So I'm doing that just to give some patterns to it. Then going in and also as I'm doing these little details, filling in some more colors. So this will be purple. I like the old school style where they used to use the purples and the kind of half clear either game controllers or consoles. So doing that, then going through and adding more color to that steam from the train. And as I'm going through, I'm also doing a bit of lining. I find I always do lining at the end anyways, but I like doing it in the middle of it because I can see if something needs more details to make it pop out or stand out. Different aspects and details I want to stand out more or less than others, so it's nice to do lining to kind of see what needs more color or bright colors to contrast the dark. I'm filling in some more colors here. I just trying to make sure that everything looks good when you look at it close, but also far away. I've had some paintings where I have colors that are way too similar in one area, or I noticed that the bottom half of the painting is almost half one color and it looks funny. So I try to plan that out a little bit, and sometimes it changes. Sometimes I put other aspects on top that make it less noticeable, but it's always nice just to plan it out when you can and make sure that it's nice to look at. I've done some paintings that were yellow as a background for a lot of it, and I found I really didn't like those. I find if there's a lighter color that's a main background, it's tough, and I just don't like the way they look. So usually I have darker colors as backgrounds or then brighter colors as the aspects. And I wanted to go in and do this little train car and make it like a cool solar system space thing because it goes with that space theme in the corner. And I'm doing purple here with this mall because it goes good with the orange. And I'll have something on the side as well because it can't be purple there because inside the abstract mall is purple. So still planning on that. I'll probably bring some gray out. I like gray as a background color as well. When I first started painting, I used it quite a bit, but haven't recently, and I've been bringing it back, and I like the way it looks. Then I thought I'd add some red to go with this blue in this little space area, and that's starting to look really good. So now I'm filling in some more gray in this area. It looks good. I don't have a lot of colors to choose from, so it's kind of a nice background color for when there's an area where there's an intersection of colors. So I'm doing that around the train car and the mall, and then doing it on the other side of the mall too. Kind of looks cool how it's on each side. I don't have a lot as background colors other than the roads in it, so I thought it was a good choice. And I'm doing these little stars around the ghost with the gray as well. I usually do white for stars, but I kind of like keeping it gray because if it's white, I thought that the ghost would be a little bit less noticeable. And I'm doing a cool little tornado as well. I grew up in a place where sometimes we'd go on road trips and there'd be tornadoes. If we ever went on a road trip to Saskatchewan, we would get the warnings once we saw one. So when I think of summer as a kid, I think of tornadoes and those summer storms, which is kind of interesting, especially because the area I grew up in didn't really have them. It was just when we went on those summer trips. We had a few close, but they never got into the city, but I always was kind of interested by tracking them and seeing where they were going. And now I'm just adding some more detail to this little circus part, adding another eye for that face. I'm going to add another face too. I have to be careful not to make it too close to the other one, so I'll make it a lot smaller scale. I'm adding some more details into that Blockbuster building. Thought I'd kind of make it a little bit cool, have some lines going down, but keep with that gold, brown, and blue color scheme. And I'm adding some more of this brown gold color just to stand out with the purple. But then I thought inside that little theater, gray would be a good color to have. So just going in and filling in more of the colors, and I'm noticing the painting's coming together a lot more with more of the colors that I add, and I can kind of see where I want to have those extra abstract details that will also fit the theme. So now I'm going in and filling in more details like this pizza. Thought it'd be kind of cool to have things that look like pepperonis, but then give it a face. So I'll go in and do that. Then for this area, I didn't want to add any specific aspects or things that would take the attention away from some of the main parts. So I'm just doing these little lightning style lines, and I'll do that with a lot of the surrounding colors within it. So it'll be kind of a cool little kind of web of lightning, and I'll do that throughout it. Thought it'd be kind of cool to add some clouds to this tornado area as well, so I'm going in and doing that too. I really enjoy doing these clouds, and usually I do it on blue, but I'm doing it on the green, gonna see how it looks. And I'm adding some stars to this little ghost area. It's probably the last I'll do to this area. I don't want it to be too busy. And I'm going in and doing stars to this little landscape as well. I have to be careful about how many stars I put in it. I'll probably do one or two little more areas of it, but I don't want it to be too much. Then just going through and picking things and little details that will look cool in the train cars. I have one that's themed space. I have one that's themed like a house. These other two need something, so just doing this cool little diamond shape thing. Then going through and doing some extra little details. I was gonna keep these details on the game black, but I thought white, it would pop out more with it being purple. So doing that, and then going through and doing a few more small clouds in this little triangle staircase. I thought it would be fun to add like a shooting star to this little scenery that still kind of looks like a book. I'm not too sure, but I'm doing that, adding like a little shooting star and some lines behind it, and then adding a little detail, same kind of triangle fun shape that I put in the other train car into this little theater. I didn't want to do anything that made it too busy, so I just kept it at that. And now I'm going through and adding the lines to the road. I'm doing the burgundy color for it because it's one of the colors I didn't put a lot of around it, so it wouldn't really clash. So just doing that, and then I'll go back and do some lining on that later. Now I'm adding some extra little textures and lines around. I don't want to just add a bunch of random stuff, but for a few areas it's okay just to give the eyes something else to look at without it being busy. And in this little carnival area, I'm adding fireworks. I started doing that with my other carnival themed paintings and they look really cool, so I'm doing that. Kind of a nice way to fill some space without it being just the same lines or doodles that I always do. Then I'm going in and adding a few of these pine trees. Where I grew up, there was a lot of them, so whenever I see a pine tree like that, it's very nostalgic. And now I'm going in and filling some more space in these areas that don't really have full space for a full detail or a face or something like that, but just so it's not plain. And I'm also adding the face to this piece of pizza, and yeah, just kind of now filling in details where I see them. Some were planned, some weren't. Some were kind of random and then turned into a plan that I'm going back to, like these lightning lines in the gray. And I am adding a little house as well to this little kind of book cover area. I'm gonna go back and line it with white just because it didn't really pop out as much as I wanted it to. And now I'm going and doing the street with some lines. At this point, I thought I was close to finishing up, but when I took a step back and looked at it, I realized there's a lot more detail that I wanted, and I could add that detail without it being busy. So I am gonna do more than I thought, but the lines and these details now help create the space that I need and will kind of help show the different areas and sections and allow me to see where I do need more detail and where I need just a few small things just to bring it together. So now I'm coloring in these trees. I wanted to do a little bit more green, somewhere that's not right by that large green area where I had a lot kind of by the street. So I'm going in doing that tree. I think it looks good there. I'm not going to do too much green just because the one I'm using is darker. And now I'm going in and doing the clownfish. I'm doing it orange, and I realized that the jellyfish that I did orange wasn't well planned out, so I'm going to add another color in the jellyfish as well. It's not too bad, but I like to have it where at least there's some different color, even if there's two of the same beside each other. Then I'm going in and doing more of these clouds. I think it gives it kind of a cool cartoon style element to it, so I like doing that. I just put a little bit of paint on the brush and then go through. In this one, I didn't really know what to do, so I'm just putting in another blue in this triangle and seeing how that looks. And I'm going in and doing a few other colors in this tornado. I put a bit of blue and a bit of red in it. I don't want to overshadow the details of it, so I'm just going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to extend one of the ladders through this triangle. I thought it'd be kind of cool to extend it to another aspect. And then in this train car, I'm just adding a cool design that I've done in other paintings where I just have a line through kind of diagonal, or then add some little circles, probably gold in it. And now it's time to paint the train tracks themselves. So I'm going to go through and do a bunch of different colors within it and just make sure that I'm not putting a color right where the background is. So now I'm extending this little design of the lightning kind of diagonal lines out of this. I didn't want to add another element to make it too busy, so I'm just going through and doing that. This is a lot where it's important to choose the colors properly just to make sure there's no clashes and nothing gets washed out and no elements or details that I want to be seen don't get seen. So I'm putting a few extra details, little exclamation mark in the TV. I thought this house would look good with a white background, and it did. It made it pop out much more. So I did that, added a little bit of smoke coming from the chimney, and I'm also outlining the lightning in white as well. I find using a white outline in some parts of the painting, especially if a lot of the background colors are darker, it really pops and contrasts nicely, so I like to do that. I don't want to do it too much. I've done paintings where I did it too much and it looked unnatural. So I'm just doing a little bit and going through and doing a little bit of colors, a little bit of white in this water. I put a bit of light blue, and I'll probably leave it at that so it's not too busy in that section. I thought it'd be cool to have a little roller coaster go across, and it makes the face of this little face, it makes the mouth. So I'm doing that, adding a roller coaster car. I don't want to add too much detail to take away from the face. So I'm doing that with gray and going in and doing those lines in the corner as well. I was going to put another detail to show nostalgia in this area, but it would be too busy. So I'm really hoping that the nostalgia theme comes through. Like I've mentioned, this one is mainly my personal feelings of nostalgia, and when I look at it, I feel that. But the other paintings in this series will have more universal feelings for nostalgia, maybe some different time frames as well. But I thought this would be a good first piece of the series to have some of those smaller aspects that are more personalized. I also wanted to add some color to this small little city area. So I put in a little bit of red. I didn't want to overshadow the lining of the white. And now at this point, I'm going through and doing a lot of filling in places that need color, like in the train tracks, and other little parts that I want to add a few patterns or textures to. So I'm adding a little bit of green into this train track area, and I'm going to go through and add little details in each one of these. I don't want it just to be plain colors. If it was a smaller area, I would. So I'll go back and do some other little details. To stick to that theme of the little lightning shapes going through, I thought I'd do that going to this orange area, especially because it's orange. I can add some colors and it'll look really good on top of it. I didn't want to do any big details or planned out aspect that could take away from that book cover type thing that I have there. I wanted that to be the main focus of that section, so I'm just kind of doing this as a little kind of extra thing to draw the eyes in, but not to take away from the main part. I really like how it's looking so far. I think that the colors are being brought out where I want them to be. And now I'm going through and doing a lot more of the lining just to make sure that these main aspects and details within them pop out and stand out. But I'm happy with how it looks. I think if I were to look at it, it might not on its own be the kind of theme where you look at it and you think, oh, that's nostalgia. But for me, it has those personal parts of nostalgia, so I'm happy with it. And maybe tied within the other 5 or 6 paintings in this series, you can look at it and see that. So I'm going through and making sure that I'm choosing my colors well. And there's going to be a few that are a little bit darker, close to darker colors that are going to be tough, but with me putting the little details within it, that should help with that. I thought that the blue looks good on the green, so I'm going and doing that blue on the green, just little arrows. Some of these parts now aren't planned out to fit that theme of nostalgia. More so, they're just there to fill the space and make it look interesting. And the whole goal of my paintings is that you can look at it for a long time and see new things each time. I would love to hear any ideas that people have for different themes within the nostalgia theme, or ideas or things that when they think of nostalgia in their life, things that come to mind. I have a few of my next paintings in this series planned out, but I would love to hear any ideas or aspects or cool things that you want to see within paintings that I could implement. The goal of this series is to do a personal side of nostalgia, but also a representation of nostalgia that people look at and many people can relate to. So I would love to hear any ideas. I think the next one I want to do is something more focused on a single theme. And obviously the theme will be nostalgia, but I'm thinking more one main element. I don't usually do paintings where I have one main element as it. I have maybe 4 or 5 or 6 that are planned out and take up a lot of space that I want people to look at. But I want to try doing one large aspect and a few things in it and around it, but have the main aspect the focus. So that'll be interesting to see. I'll probably do it on one of the smaller paintings just because it's a newer thing for me and I don't want to take that risk on a large canvas. But it's going to be a fun theme to do. I realize that nostalgia might be a little bit tricky to fully represent, and that's part of the fun of it. So we'll see how they turn out over time. Now I'm adding some more fireworks into this part of the painting. I like adding fireworks recently. I think it's kind of cool. It's a nostalgic thing for me, and it also fits well with the darker background colors. I'm doing some mountains as well because I grew up near the mountains, and whenever I see mountains or see photos of mountains, it reminds me of memories that I made when I was a kid. So I'm doing a few of those in this little road area, which makes sense because I have a lot of memories about road trips going through the mountains. And yeah, just wanted to add that. In a lot of my paintings, I do have mountains there, usually in a small spot, but maybe I'll do a larger painting focused around that. I also have these little balloons that I added in this smaller staircase. I thought it'd be a cool, nostalgic way that I could also add some color. And this little arrow was going to do more of a snakes and ladders type theme, but ran out of space, so just doing a fun little arrow with a different colors and see how it looks. I'm doing a few more of these pine trees as well, Like I said, grew up around a lot of pine trees and they're nostalgic. And the Blockbuster by my house also had quite a few around it, so I thought it'd be cool to add to the scenery there. Now I'm going around and doing more lining in between sections and within elements just to make sure that every detail is crisp and clear. I don't do lining in every single part, but for this one I'll definitely do quite a bit. I'm adding a little bit of texture to the mountains as well. I want to keep them white and have the black as a nice border. I was going to do a little bit of texture and shading within it and paint over white again and then see if I could get a gray color mixed, but I thought it would look good just with the clean black and white. And now I'm doing a few other just small little details, lining different parts within the aspects and the planned portions of the painting, and also just seeing what different parts of the painting need detail. So I just did like a little X in the treasure chest, kind of like a pirate treasure. I was going to do a boat in this one, but I might do that in one of the next ones. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a smiley face out of clouds. I don't know why, but a nice blue sky, cloudy day always reminds me of happy days in childhood. I grew up somewhere where it was quite sunny and bright, even in the winter. So it's kind of a cool way to remember that. Like I said, this painting is more of a personal side of nostalgia. I'll probably do some that are more nostalgic for older people and people who grew up in different times. Maybe I'll do some nostalgia to the 60s, 70s, 80s. See what works within this painting series. This is my first series that I've done, so I'm not sure how they're all going to fit together. I don't want to make paintings that are identical and look very similar to each other, but I also don't want to stray too far away from it. So this will be a fun learning exercise for it to see where I can improve for my next series that I do. I'm excited to be finishing this painting up. It was a fun one to do, and it took me a few weeks because I was also working on the mural project. So a lot of my time when I was painting was spent on that building. So this will be fun that I can start some other paintings within this series and finish them faster than I did this one. The mural project, I also have videos that I just posted if you're interested in that. And it'll be nice to focus on this series as I move along in the next ones. The smaller paintings will have a lot of detail in them, so they won't be super fast, but they'll be quicker than this one for sure. I already have some ideas, so those will be fun to do, and I'll probably post those in a few days. I like to schedule my posts out because some paintings take a lot longer, but that's nice because then if I have some quicker paintings and I'm doing a series like this, I can post them a few days after. Now I'm doing the true final details. This one seems like I did a lot of final details for almost a few days of painting. I kept adding more, not really necessarily aspects or things that I see within the way that the paint dries, like some of my other more abstract ones, but mainly just filling the space. Like I said, I had that other project going, so sometimes I'd only have an hour a day to work on this one, but I like how it's coming along. I think it's got a cool comic style for some of them and has some nice bright colors that pop out nicely. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this one. I would love to hear if you think that I captured the nostalgia aspect to it. And I was doing some thinking about nostalgia when I was finishing this one up. And there's definitely spots that I feel very nostalgic to. Then there's some details that maybe didn't fully capture that. I think the face, I could have added more details and made it brighter. And some of the other details, like the train, is very niche for where I grew up and what I was doing. So I'm definitely going to challenge myself in the next painting in this series to make the theme of nostalgia more obvious. I also realize as I'm editing this that I could have made it into 3 parts. This part's gonna be almost 40 minutes, but I would love to hear if you like the longer parts and videos that are close to an hour, or if you'd want to see a painting done in 3 or 4 different parts. I could do all parts in one and it would be about an hour, or I could split them up into 10 or 12 minute little episodes. I could also do each day I paint. So if I paint for a few hours, just post that. Some days could be longer, some would be a lot shorter. I'd love to hear any feedback on what kind of videos and the process that you want to watch. So now I'm finally done. I'm signing it in the bottom corner, and I'm happy with how this one turned out. I feel like it's bright, it's happy. You can look at it for a long time. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear any feedback, and thank you for watching this video.